Video games have games for all age groups, but sometimes there are moments that go a bit too far, even for mature titles. Whether it was a dirty joke the developer left in or some truly inappropriate material, we're gonna talk about it today. Earmuffs, kids! Make sure your parents are not in the room for this one. The topics discussed today are not for everyone. Discretion is advised. Before we begin, be sure to hit the subscribe button to follow The Gamer and stay up to date with all our content. Without further ado, here are 10 inappropriate moments in video games. SAMUS face reveal. Video games have grown a lot from their infancy. Remember when the first Mortal Kombat was almost shut down for being too violent? Ha! Today, that game might receive an E or T rating at most, but back then those were the standards. Sadly, this entry is not about Mortal Kombat. Aw, come on. But we promise that later entries will feature plenty of gore. For this entry, we'll be talking about one of the most famous badasses in gaming, Samus Aran. The bounty hunter from Metroid is known today as a power armor-clad ass-kicker with looks to match, but back when Metroid was released, everyone assumed Samus was a man. However, that all changed if you managed to beat the game fast enough. While beating the game on normal would just give you a short cutscene of Samus looking out in space in her armor, beating the game in an hour gave you a look at what was underneath. Gamers all over were shocked to see Samus in a red bikini waving at you, congratulating you on your skills. Now this might be tame now, considering we have games with unrealistic breast jiggle physics, like super slow-mo. But back then, this not only came as a shocking plot twist, but also opened up the possibility that women could kick ass too. How about that? Other women would come into the picture around this era in video games as well, but most people will point to this little 8-bit woman in a pixelated bikini as the one who started it all. Don't get it in your hair. Now that last entry might be a little too historically relevant when it comes to video games, so how about we just dive right into the stupid entries? Huh? Shall we? Yeah, let's do it. Like with Metroid, early gamers had to use their imagination when it came to graphic imagery. Blood and guts were just red splashes, and boobs were just a series of squares. It's not how I remember them, but, what do I know? A game that took this concept to the max was the 1982 game Beat 'em and Eat 'em. In this game, you play as two, let's say, women. Yeah, we think they were going for women, but have to catch the man's seed as he deposits it on top. What did I just read? For every round of seed the two women catch, they lick their lips, and the next level starts. Yes, you heard me correctly. If they miss any yellow pellets of seed, they lose a life, and for every 69 pellets, they gain a life. This is a real game, people. Look it up. Or maybe don't. Your call. Understandably, the game was banned and not widely available. Of course, this was also the 80s, one of the first decades of console gaming. Most of these smaller games were made by just one person, and they were rarely given credit for their work. Looking at a game like Beat 'em and Eat 'em, we're sure the programmer who worked on this one kept it off his resume. A race to the bottom. One of the biggest hot-button issues in the early 2000s was illegal immigration. It's refreshing to know that nothing has really changed in almost 20 years because now we're trying to put up a wall to try and stop it. Thanks, Trump, dummy. However, some people decided to cash in on this immigration bandwagon and create a game detailing the subtle and complicated entanglement of our immigration policy and the bureaucracy that comes with being a citizen. It's complicated stuff for video games. Just kidding. Someone just made a racist flash game where you shoot stereotypical Mexicans as they cross the border. Armed with a sniper rifle given to you by your Second Amendment right, because America, you take aim and shoot any Mexicans attempting to cross the border. Of course, you can't hit them all, and eventually too many will get by to end the game. At the end of this little flash game, you will be told how many you let get by, and if you think this game can't get any more over-the-top racist, then hold on, because it also refers to the Mexican by a racial slur that we're not even going to repeat on this channel. Wash your mouth out with soap, young man. Look, the jury's still not out on whether this was just some bored troll trying to rustle some feathers, or whether it was someone who actually hates Mexicans. Well, thanks to Poe's Law, we can't tell. But in any case, this is a relic from the past we'd like to soon forget. The wrong side. People view the Call of Duty games as pretty cookie-cutter when it comes to the single-player campaign. It's known far and wide as a multiplayer game, with the single-player mode being almost an add-on at this point. Of course, there are some games in the franchise with memorable single-player stories, and Modern Warfare 2 is no exception. On the 4th level, No Russian, you play as an undercover agent tasked with taking down some Russian terrorists. You and Makarov are tasked with mowing down an entire airport and blasting away innocent civilians as you casually walk through, being met with little or no resistance. This, of course, led to controversy and understandably upset many players and parents, especially with the tragic events like 9/11 happening not too long ago at the time. People were very sensitive to terrorist attacks and depictions of such acts, which is completely understandable, and soon after, a patch was added that would let you skip this mission entirely without penalty. Even with the disclaimer, many people were still not satisfied with the brevity and lack of context people were given. The message you get before playing the single-player game is that one mission contains graphic imagery and gives you the option to skip. It does not tell you which mission it is and what you will be doing, and at the time, no one saw a mission like this before. The Last of Us. Once in a blue moon, a game will come out that excels at both story and gameplay, with a theme and message that can bring even the most hardcore gamers to their knees. The Last of Us had us watch Joel and Ellie survive in a world of horrid fungus people and humanity itself. However, the reason this is on the list is not because of something that happens in the main game. Instead, we're looking at the very beginning. The game starts with the player controlling a small girl named Sarah and seeing the world fall to ruin before her eyes. You and her dad attempt to escape, only to be stopped by a soldier. When things begin to turn around, the soldier tells them they're to stop, and then they open fire, killing Sarah with her father watching or die in her arms. Wow, that's heavy. Games are either on this list because of gore or sexual content, but here we have a moment that is truly devastating and heartbreaking, bringing some gamers to tears. It's just dust in my eye, guys. The Last of Us doesn't pull any punches with this scene. We aren't given the luxury of a fade to black or having the death happen off screen. We are a witness to it. We hear all the fear and pain in Sarah's voice as she dies, and we feel the pain and loss her father feels. We experience a true tragedy. Pure, unadulterated hatred. In 2015, we saw a shift happening in the civil sphere. It seemed that anything and everything would polarize and tear people apart when it came to video games. Keep in mind, 2015 saw the tail end of the GamerGate movement, so a game like Hatred was just what everyone needed. We all need a little hate. The game launched on Steam and was met with a wave of outrage, saying the game was too heavy-handed with senseless violence and mayhem. For context, Hatred was a third-person shooter where you control a stereotypical school shooter-type edgelord who is done with humanity and whose only goal is to kill as many people as possible. Yikes. You gain health by executing people, you evade the cops and go on a Columbine-style massacre across a city, ending in your character trying to overload a nuclear reactor. Needless to say, it was pretty self-aware, and I think most gamers knew it. Of course, that did not stop the gaming outlets and other sites from condemning Steam for allowing this immoral game to be on their platform. Twitch and similar streaming sites banned the game from being shown on their platform. In the end, the game stayed and quickly fizzled out of the gaming public zeitgeist. Many believe this was okay because it was so out there, it was almost a parody. Parody or not, Hatred achieved GTA levels of controversy by being edgy and overly violent. Taken with a smile. Now, most shocking moments on this list are either graphic because of sexual nature or extreme violence. This entry has the benefit of having both. Hooray! Far Cry is a series with peaks and valleys, but the 2012 Far Cry 3 proved to be a memorable addition to the franchise. Few developers have shown executions of this nature before in mainstream games. Throughout the game, you can execute a variety of characters in brutal and ritualistic ways. But for this entry, we will be looking at the last one, the finale where your character joins Citra. Before moving forward, we do have to warn you that there are going to be spoilers. We repeat, the ending of Far Cry 3 will be spoiled. Okay, you had your chance. Still here? Okay. If you choose to join Citra, you are taken to a temple where you have to have sex with her. You are, of course, given a first-person view of her riding you, and all the over-the-top moans that come with fiery, passionate lovemaking. Oh my. However, when you're done, and it looks like you might go up for round 2 with her, you instead get an 8-inch dagger plunged into your chest. This might not be the happy ending we were promised going in. Still, it's quite an impressive feat to show full frontal nudity along with a brutal execution. Stick a needle in your eye. In the realm of gore and slaughterfests, Dead Space is up there with the best like Mortal Kombat and Killing Floor. The first game brought us a lot of survival horror and gore, and the sequel did not disappoint. In fact, it gave us, in our opinion, the most horrific gore scene in video games. I still have nightmares. During the story, Isaac has to get into an optical diagnostic machine and complete a small mini-game. The machine is similar to an MRI machine, so that it's a tight and claustrophobic space. Once inside, Isaac's head and eyes are held in place, while a large needle comes down and gets closer and closer to his eye. And as if that's not terrifying enough, the needle gets closer and closer, so you need to keep Isaac's eye focused enough for it to slowly bore into his eye and complete the process. However, if you fail, the machine rams the needle into his eye and up into his brain, ramming it a few times and killing Isaac in the process. The most messed up thing about this is that not only is your character in a tight claustrophobic space, but a needle is forced into their eye, where, even if they do everything right, still requires them to get a needle drilled into their eye. The only difference between winning and losing is literally not dying. Would you kindly? A good game poses a philosophical question. A masterpiece explores that question in sometimes gruesome detail. BIOSHOCK exploded onto the scene in 2007 and stands as one of the greatest games of the decade, being one of the first instances of video games as art. This game had a gripping narrative, an oppressive aesthetic and tone, and had a moral system that made the player feel more involved than simply pressing a button. We will have to take a moment to warn you that there are major spoilers ahead. Spoilers! So if you have not played BIOSHOCK and you do not want to have this game spoiled, skip ahead to number 10. Once again, your last chance? Okay. In the third act of the game, you come face to face with Andrew Ryan, the founder of Rapture and the supposed antagonist up until this point. It's in this exchange where you find out that you, the player, have been manipulated from the very beginning, a pawn in a larger game. Turns out that you were a sleeper agent sent to come back to Rapture, and all the while, your friend Atlas has been pulling the strings with a simple phrase, "Would you kindly?" It is after this revelation where you are forced to bludgeon Andrew Ryan with a golf club, on screen and in bloody detail. A man chooses, a slave obeys. Hot coffee. We've had a lot of fun looking at games pushing the envelope and inappropriate things video games have been able to show, but this last topic got the entire nation's attention. Grand Theft Auto is a franchise with a history of controversy, which makes sense if your main objective in the game is to steal, destroy, and kill anything and everything with an entire city at your disposal. However, in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, things got a little hotter than usual. One of the many mini-games being developed for the game was only titled Coffee, where your in-game girlfriend would call you asking if you wanted to come over for, quote-unquote, coffee. Of course, coffee in this context means poorly animated sex with you and your virtual girlfriend. This mini-game was not accessible in the game at any point. It was hidden in the game's code and could be accessed as a mod. A little treasure hunt, if you will. As soon as people heard about this, it spread like wildfire and even got the attention of politicians and lawmakers all over the world. With the minigame's ease of access, the ESRB changed their rating of GTA San Andreas to adult only, and Australia completely banned the game from being sold. Rockstar swiftly recalled the game and removed the minigame entirely, which brought its rating back down to M for mature. Aww. Still, the hot coffee mod would live on in infamy as one of the most outrageous moments in video game history, since it caught the attention of politicians and put GTA in the international spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Or the right reasons. Huh? Yeah? Yeah. Those were some of the most shocking and inappropriate moments in video games. What did you think? We barely scratched the surface on this one, so if you have a particular moment you would like to share, leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe to The Gamer for more exciting video game content. Thanks for watching.
Because you two white boys, you look very expensive. And that's good because I like expensive things.